Good morning. I hope you're good and you're blessed. And well, it was time to do some more content, isn't it? I've been a little bit busy with things, but I thought this morning, as soon as I woke up, I'm getting on with it, and that's it to the first video, and then throughout the day, more content because it is very interesting. It is the matrix code, and who doesn't want to decode it? I remember spending 5 years being mesmerized, and to tell you what happened, I used to get home. I used to be, for some reason, very meticulous about how certain things were positioned. I didn't know why. It was just certain things, certain ornaments that I got, that they had meaning. And when my ex-partner used to come into the property, he used to change and move them. And I used to move them back straight away. Something was telling me they were not positioned rightly. It was weird. It was like a bit of OCD. I thought, it's strange. But then when I began to decode the reason of those movements, it was very eye-opening. Basically, one says his name is winning the game of life. And when I decoded the movement I was doing, it said, Amor is winning the game of life. And I thought, my God, I'm unconsciously playing a game of life, and I've never realized. So that's what I was changing it, because obviously in my eyes, we are the winners. And this is what I was doing. And what we call feng shui, isn't it? How important it is to actually reflect that purity within outside, and be it's usually what I do every morning when I wake up is make my room into heaven. I put incense, nice candles, smells, citrus to wake me up, put music, dance, and I wake up that energy of love and power. Before this video I was playing music, and I was lifting my frequency to be in the best possible frequency. I find that actually more powerful than anger, and it's nothing like a little dance and some fun music, usually Spanish, dancing music. But anyway, I wanted to do a video. It's going to be quite thorough. I've got my notes because it's quite complex. I wrote this on the book quite a while back, on the matrix code, because then I want to get on and do in the context of the revelation. And I think it's very important to understand revelation as the basics, to be in preparation of really truly comprehend the matrix code. And I'll tell you exactly how to do it. It's actually very, very simple. If you get the alphabet A, B, C, D till Z, and you give a number, A is number 1, B is number 2, C is number 3, and Z is 26 letters of the alphabet in England. And for example, you decode the name Amor, you could have the letter A, which is 1, M, which is 13, O 15, and R 18. Each of them has got a meaning, each is a symbol, and I will explain some of them, what it means. And then Amor has got a code, and that code binds in the matrix code unless you are out of the matrix code. So through the matrix code, through my life, I changed my name lots of times. And the only reason why I changed my name by deep officially, till I selected the best possible name for me, was because I was changing the code throughout my journey, and so did the matrix code. He changed his name a few times. We selected the best possible code. So it is important. It is not numerology. Numerology is good. Some people are experts in numerology, but this is just beyond numerology. This is about cracking the matrix code and making sure that you've got the best code. I had a programming code where I just enter whatever sentence, and it would give me a numerical value. I would pull that sentence and numerical value in a document, and then every single other sentence that had the same numerical value, I would put it in there. Somebody could come to my place, select a number, and that number would give them a message of the reality in the matrix code. It's like doing a superconscious reading of the field, but in a different way. I found it very intriguing and interesting, and I can see that lots of you have been looking at the post that is coming, the matrix codes, and I couldn't believe any of you not finding this amazing. So having said that, I'm going to give you an introduction of how it works, just a really good recap, so it's worth watching, and then a little bit of how the code works. Okay, so let's start. Let's go back to the shadows, or what some people call evil forces or dark forces. They're sentient programs, they're artificial intelligence, and they're so skilled and advanced with using technology, but they need technology in order to survive. they need the metrics. As to create technology is used as a form of communication. It's like a broadcasting of information that keeps the metrics vibrational field in operation via frequency waves and feeding our minds with artificially induced thoughts, because we are not thoughts and we are not the emotions. We know that the thought gives way to the emotion gives way to the thought, and it becomes a loop in which we are trapped. Yeah. The thoughts are projections from the matrix and can only be received by our ear drum through the use of technology or broadcasting towers, which we got plenty of broadcasting towers. I remember in one of the churches there is I forgot which area was set. Anyway, there was this beautiful angel figure, and somebody was telling me that inside the angel figure is actually a broadcasting tower. Television, radio, mobile phone frequencies are overflowing with subliminal messages that the conscious mind accepts and decodes into its reality, oblivious of their existence or of this being what shapes their world, let alone understand their meaning and the effect they have on their lives. As we know, most people are unconsciously living their lives. The sound waves are able to move through our world and enter our eardrum through the means of the air that we breathe. This is the reason why the word air means code, means gas, means the instructions of the problem-solving structures. The air that we breathe is a frequency range also. Our physical body being also a frequency range holding together what it appears to be physical matter. Is a field of information. It obviously could cease to exist with the breathing. We are continuously feeding and projecting, we're not aware, and these vibrational sound waves through our 5 senses of frequency decoders. When I touch something, is basically a code. I'm decoding the field of that which I think I'm touching. Thoughts obviously appear to be silent and coming from within, or more accurately from within our conscious mind, but are made of a calculated and manipulated vibrational zone generated via the R complex, or that part of the brain which is the survivalist part, or the reptilian brain that we also call it, or the R complex. You can have a look at it, it's quite interesting, which is our hosted subconscious mind, or the artificial embedded code in our brain. The thoughts provided both a manipulated and controlled consciousness and a means to block any form of telepathic communication or intuitive inner knowings, which is how we communicate to our genius and intuition. We need to understand that we actually are the creators of that technology. The matrix uses our consciousness, or the power of our consciousness, to bring them into existence and provide them with comfort. Without the power of our consciousness, they don't exist, we know that. The same way the computer cannot access the necessary electrical power unless we plug it to an electrical power source. Yeah? We are the generators of the technology that used to control us. The dark forces, or the shadows, are bound to the matrix programming code. So if there is a virus, they're going to have to be careful because they are bound to that virus. So they're reflecting the very survivalist nature of the matrix. For instance, although food and a warm drink is an illusion, they themselves need these vibrational fields in order to operate properly and not decay. We, on the contrary, have been conditioned to believe we need food and drink, a conditioned which is a false core belief, a very massive core belief, isn't it? If we don't eat, we die. But that's not true. The spirit doesn't need food or drink. Although I don't advise anybody not to drink. I would love to have been asking the source. I really don't want to eat or drink. I just can't be bothered unless I just have to have some fun. I'd rather not. Yeah. Because I don't have to clean it and then go to the toilet. Otherwise, just not. Anyway, the sentient programs or the shadows, they are the manifestation itself, or the programming code they have implanted within our brain or our complex. And we can override this code, we know that with the recording. Once we learn the truth, they cannot. The same way a computer without the appropriate computer programming software cannot be operational. The shadows are bound to the cause and effects law of the metric cause. For example, if we grow up older, we age. We can override this by having a new thought and belief, the cause, and a new projected reality of being always youthful regardless of the age, which is the effect. Within the matrix, the law of attraction manifests our reality. What we think, feel, and speak of is what gets manifested if it's sustained enough through beliefs and feelings. We have been programmed to have thoughts and feelings of a lower vibration, mostly of a negative nature triggered by frustration and fear. In order to override the code and change our reality, we need to create a new set of beliefs with good feelings associated with them so that we attract that frequency manifested into our reality. Negative emotions are the essence of good thoughts, and good thoughts come from the connection to our true self. The thought manifests as the word. The word manifests into a reality, developing into an action, and the action develops into a habit, and the habit gets formed to what we perceive is our personality. Our personality is being created through conditioning, manipulation, and repetition. We become habit. Therefore, it's important that we watch the thoughts and the way it controls us, and let each thought be born from unconditional love for yourself and for all creation. Those minds that are not enlightened but are able to hear the low vibration thought projections of the matrix are targeted and diagnosed and labeled by the Mental Health Act as a suffering from psychotic personality, chronic schizophrenia, or bipolar disorder, or any other description that they may fit to give. There's lots of names for diagnosis, plenty. The adventures of the emanations of expressions of God, or the players of God's cosmic game, or the most advanced enlightened souls, is that they are able to communicate with each other using the telepathic sense. The information traveling via this sense travels much faster than through the use of the most technological advanced computer available within that world. Telepathic communication is immediate and able to reach all beings at the same time, something a computer is unable to replicate. Thoughts experienced when plugged into the frequency of the matrix can be easily manipulated and be tampered with the dark forces, but telepathic communication cannot, only temporarily blocked or dimmed due to the lack of this knowledge. The shadows lack also intuitions, as intuition comes from our spiritual true self. Every being created by the infinite ones have a consciousness able to communicate telepathically and be guided by intuitive feelings. Everything else, therefore, has an artificial intelligence able to exist only by the means of technology, or that which projects a vibrational field that forms the programming code of a particular sentient program or shadow. Before we enter a disconnected state, we were all as one connected to our inner wisdom and infinite within. Telepathy being our form of communication and perfect harmonious balance, our way of being. Yeah. In order for the dark gods, the metric gods, to block these connections or the shadows, they need to find a way to keep our consciousness busy, bombard them by constant thoughts, leading to the creation of the matrix. Well, we created that, but let's say the creation, the continuation of the matrix. We need to reprogram our minds with a solid set of beliefs, which is what the automatic record does. Beliefs that are in harmony with our divine nature and essence. This process may be a little more challenging for those most conditioned beliefs and those that have been with us for a very long time. At the beginning, it may seem as if you are tricking your mind into believing into the impossible, isn't it? It's like a tennis ball. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, like a yo-yo. But this time, the trick of the mind is in fact real. There are no limitations in what concerns the power within our minds when we become in control of our thoughts, our feelings, which means we do not associate or identify with them. Thoughts of balance, the balance of all, break down all thought polarities in which we have been endlessly oscillating. From a thought we might be conditioned to believe is right, to a thought others that might have an influence on us to consider as wrong. This cycle leaves no room for our intuitive self to break free from that which is neither right nor wrong, but an illusion of the mind. Thoughts can be designed to keep the matrix in operation, using the words within our limited vocabulary to give birth to our shadowy, thoughtful self. Words when spoken produce a vibrational frequency, it's a tonality that gets broadcasted into the matrix frequency range, and the same process takes place whether the word is spoken or thought of. We are aiming for a stillness of the mind, of course, freeing ourselves from any thoughts projected into our mind so that we cannot We can open our mind to feel our intuitive self, reconnected to our center, connected point, our heart. Yeah. Neither of us need to think or rationalize love. We understand the power of love because we feel it. If our individual and collective mind was in perfect harmony and complete stillness, we could not see our shadow selves or projected thought characters implanted into our reality. All would disappear into one infinite consciousness. We need to understand in the deepest of levels that the matrix is a field of low vibrational thoughts and that the shadows are thought projections caused by the use of words. That is all they are. They're a form of a digital sentient program embedded with an artificial intelligence. These vibrational thoughts we perceive as our enemies